All right, guys. So today I have a special guest for you. This is Chris, and he actually is a former Syndicate member and a Sync Academy member, of course. And Chris was just getting started in the sync licensing business. I think it was about a year or two ago when he stumbled across my videos and got involved with us. And he was obviously in the beginning phases of it. And he was actually in the US at the time on a visa. And he was basically trying to make it work so that he could stay in the US for a long period of time. And he was really pursuing sync licensing 100%. It was basically, he had his other day job, of course, he had other things that were paying the bills, but sync licensing was definitely at the top of his list, and that was what his ambitious goal was. Unfortunately, and I won't spoil all the details, Chris's life got 100% turned around, and he basically got ripped out of his environment and out of his situation in the United States, and had to actually fly back to Korea, where he's from. So that is no easy thing to get through and to go through. I've never gone through anything like that, but I can just imagine, you've got your contacts, your friends, your colleagues, your jobs, your relationships built, and then you got to get out of the country and go somewhere else. So that's not an easy thing to do at all. And so I really wanted to bring Chris on here for you guys so that you could see for yourself. Yet again, you might be noticing this theme with a lot of the students that I bring onto my channel is the common thing is that they all could have had a million and one reasons as to why they just should have given up. It's too hard. Life got in the way, all these different things that could have basically been a really good excuse for them to drop the ball and give up on their goals of sync licensing. But thankfully, and you guys will learn here in this chat, Chris did not give up on that, and he's still pursuing it, and he's actually seeing results now that he never saw before, and it's only because he kept with it. That's really it. Chris is a phenomenal composer. He does some incredible orchestral music, really great ear, and just a great, just a sense of space with the orchestral elements and all the orchestral instruments. But really, it's his persistence. It's just that ability to him say, to hell with all these things in my way, I'm going to just keep going for it. So that's really what pushed him through. So, Chris, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody here. Let us know a little bit about your history with sync licensing and just kind of walk us through the story of what you went through for the last 6 months to a year.
Okay, hi guys. I'm Chris. So yeah, it's been crazy months. I had a big change in my life. So I was living in Boston for 7 years, and I had to pack everything. Or actually, I had to sell everything in order to move back to Korea. Yeah, I had some like family issues, and I was thinking like my time in US was like over and all this stuff. So I came back here, and I keep working on tracks and everything. It was a really tough and hard transition because I was doing a project for this library, so I had to finish that, and I had to do that, and also like moving from country to country is like not something like you move in a like city from city to city is like way different, and I had to sell all my gears because it was way too expensive to ship them all. So I came back here and I had to buy everything again. And I actually started using a new DAW because my Mac wasn't good enough, so I sold it. And the spec I wanted here was like way too expensive. So you know, I was using Logic, and now I'm using Cubase. So there was a learning curve, of course. So I had to learn a new DAW, and I had to like get used to all this new like Windows system I haven't used like for like 15 years. Uh, so that was really tough, but it's like I like challenges, and it was kind of fun to learn something new. And now I can use both Logic and Cubase, so that's really awesome. And also, the last time I used Cubase was like Cubase 2 or something, so it was like way better than back then. So now it's 10, so it was really good.
That's that's
So
crazy, man. I didn't even know that you had to switch DAWs as well. So again, guys,
yeah.
some of you are learning your DAW for the first time, or maybe you've been producing music for a while and you already know your DAW. So again, another thing Chris could have said, I can't afford the computer I want. I can't get back to the DAW I'm used to. Whatever, I'm done with this kind of thing. So even that kind of a thing is something that didn't stop him. So that's awesome, man. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
So yeah, it was really tough and stressful because I I've never done that in my life, but I kind of like I was really afraid that I might miss the deadline for this project I was doing. So I actually emailed them like really polite and apologetic email, and they actually gave me a few more days to finish up. So I actually made the deadline. So that was really cool, and actually all these things happened, and I could have just quit and move on with my life and stuff, but I just remember the first time I started music, and this is what I want to do. This is what I enjoy the most. This is what I love the most. So actually, the really good thing, and it was kind of surprising to me, was even though I was like really stressed, and I wanted to quit so hard because buying all these new gears is like way too expensive, and I just went for it because I had to say goodbye to all my friends in the US, and all the city I love, like everything I loved in the country. I had to say goodbye to them all. And I came here, and the one thing that actually like kept me going was actually music licensing, because this thing, no matter where you are, whatever you do, you can just do it. You can just do it anywhere in the earth, literally. You can just keep going. So I'm still working with all the libraries I've been working with since I was in the US. So that actually kept me going. It's like this thing like never leave me, and I don't have to say goodbye to. It's just, I don't know. It's just really amazing. Like there's no job like this, like as far as I know. Um, so of course, like like my day job in the U.S. was like teaching and doing musical theater, so I can't really do that here. Because we have like Korea has a great musical theater industry, but it's way different than U.S. So it's like how they work and rehearse, and shows are different. So it's kind of, but like music licensing is still the same thing. So and I'm doing like new projects now, and it's going well. And there were like a million times that I wanted to quit when I wasn't getting any placements for like more than a year. And so surprisingly, so I came back here in April. So I had to like spend a month to settle down, literally a month. And then I was keep going. And in June, I got my first placement. Um, I I thought about this moment like a million times in my life since I started this music licensing. Like I was like imagining me like just reacting to this first placement, and I was like just like staring at my monitor and just like I didn't say, I was just speechless, and it just felt so good. And yeah, I was like just going for this like for a so like long time, and I finally got it. It felt amazing. And the more amazing thing is that after I got my first placement, I keep getting another placement. And this one like broadcast company, they used my music, and they use it for like different show, and they also use it for different show. And then that same album that I did for this library, and they started using like different music from that album and use it on the same show, and they use it on the second show, and it keeps going. And now I'm pretty much like getting like a few placements like every 2 3 days, and it's like I've never thought this could happen, and this is just amazing. So yeah, I think as Jesse said, like the key is like consistency, and you just have to, if you believe that this is what you want to do, and just like Syndicate, like there were people like great producers, great people. They were just like they were motivating me all the time, and the motivation just kept me going. And so if you are surrounded by like good people, hardworking producers, like there's no reason that you have to like quit right now. So maybe you don't see anything, and maybe it's gonna take a little bit longer than other people. Well, that was my case, because there were people like who started doing this production music thing with me, and I saw them getting placements, like all of them, they were just getting placements. And and I was just like sitting here just making music. and I was yeah, of course it's sometimes it's really hard. Like, the one thought that like made me really feel depressed was that like I'm working so hard and I'm making music that no one listens to. That was the thought that, sometimes when I had like a writer's block or something, always that thought was just there, like staring at me. And now I'm like, who's the winner, right? So I don't know. Maybe I'm not gonna get any placements for a month from now, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen again soon. And in the meantime, I'm like, I keep making tracks, and I'm gonna have more things to sell in my catalog. So it's gonna be easier and easier to get placements, as the time goes. So I think basically, yeah, I think that's my story.
So let me
That
test. I want to make sure that I'm a good listener. So it sounds like you started, got results very quickly. It was extremely easy. There was really no moments of doubt, and you basically just had success handed to you. That seems to be like what the story was, right? No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding. Of course, that
yeah.
was the exact opposite of everybody's story. And I can tell you, obviously, for myself, you're obviously in the beginning stages, and you're seeing the sort of exponential growth happening when you were saying that like one of your tracks now is going to another TV show, and that same producer is using it for other TV shows, and multiple tracks are probably getting placed in the same show, and maybe the same track is getting placed multiple times within the same show. This is how the snowball starts to build. But as Chris saw, and as many of you guys will know in your future of your licensing careers, it does not come quickly, and it does not come without many, many obstacles and hurdles. And I think Chris absolutely touched on that really important factor that you got to have a community. You got to have people around you that are pushing you, because Chris probably wanted to give up and maybe thought about it, maybe for a day or two, maybe did give up. But there might have been somebody or something in the syndicate or in Sync Academy that just kind of gave him a little push and said, come on, man. Or just their success story was enough for him to go, all right, it's working for somebody. Like somebody's making this thing work, so it's got to work for me too. Sometimes that's really all you need is just a little bit of that hope, and also real proof from other people, not just hope, but also just seeing real results from other people. And that's what Chris is doing right now. Why I'm so thankful for you, Chris, for sharing your story, because you're now doing that for the next producer who's probably in the shoes that you were in a year and a half ago or a year ago. And they're also sitting in front of their computer going, is anybody going to listen to this? Is this going to do anything? Am I completely wasting my time? How come there's no placements? How come it's not happening for me yet? So I want you guys to just remember this moment right now. Fast forward a year, maybe a year and a half, and you can be in Chris's situation where he's now seeing the fruits of his labor, and he's actually seeing the placements come in, and the relationships that he's built transcended his personal situation in his life. And that's he touched on that too. Why it's so awesome about sync licensing is you're not tied to an office space, on this block in your hometown to succeed in this business. You can be from home, you can work from home, as long as you have a stable, fairly high-speed internet connection so you can upload files. That's really one thing you got to do, a decent upload speed, right? But as long as you have that and you have a setup that can be fairly portable, you can be an RVer. You can literally travel in an RV, live in an RV, and do this anywhere you want. You can travel the world. Even Chris was telling me before we got started, he might be moving to Australia in the coming months, and he can still not literally take any breaks in his licensing career. He might ask for a day or two of an extension as he travels, or try to plan it so that there's not too many projects in his way while he does it. But this is why it's so awesome with technology, with the internet, with all these plugins and all these software tools at your disposal. So I want you guys to take from this interview, obviously the inspiration and the motivation, but also whatever that one excuse is, that one thing that you've been holding on to that's been sort of like your sort of escape route, your safety valve of like, this is why I'm not going to keep going for it, because it's too hard. I don't have enough time. I have too many things in my way. I have too many obstacles. I can't get this done. How am I going to get any of this done? Look at Chris. Look at the situation that he was in, to be ripped from his entire life that he had built for himself over the course of 7 years. And went through it all. Had to get a new computer, new DAW, you name it. There is every reason why he should have could have given up, but he didn't. And that's why I always think that success in this industry is for a very small percentage of producers, because not many people have that. I don't know what it is, Chris. I don't know if you could tell me what it is. I don't know. There's only a certain amount of people that seem to have this sort of perseverance, that even with all of these obstacles in their way, they push through it. And I think you did sort of touch on that. And it is about that inner drive and that inner passion. If this is not what you've just dreamed about and daydreamed about at your job doing for your full-time income, then it will not work out for you. You have to have that just burning, almost desperate desire to make this work for yourself, because it's going to be tough, it's going to be difficult. But as you guys can see here, and as you've seen from probably many other interviews and testimonials that you've seen about my services, it can work. And the sync licensing business is a real industry that you can really be a part of. So Chris, I want to just say thank you so much again for your time, man. I really do appreciate you sharing your story.